Hello everyone and welcome to Blue Tengu's live game development show where we show everything that goes into making a game from concept to completion. If you've ever wanted to make a game, we hope this will help lower the barrier to entry, maybe give you the nudge you needed to try it yourself. Even if you don't want to make a game, we hope you'll find some value in what we're doing here. Sorry I had to clear my throat there at the beginning there. A little bit of a delayed start. But anyway, all of the information about where you can find us is in the Twitch info down below, or in our YouTube profile for those of you watching this later. But just in case, we're at www.bluetengu.com, btengu on Twitter, facebook.com Blue Tengu Studio, youtube.com Blue Tengu Studio for those of you watching the live stream now, and Twitch TV Blue Tengu for those of you watching us on YouTube if you want to catch us live. If you missed any episodes, you can always catch them over at YouTube, but you shouldn't have any trouble following along, even if you haven't seen them. For those of you who haven't seen the show before on Twitch or YouTube, my name's Eric. I'm a game designer living over here in Japan who's trying to show everything that goes into making a game for 2 hours a week, including all the ums and ahs and awkward debugging moments that come up. The reason I'm showing it all as opposed to making the game first and scripting out a rehearsed tutorial is because I do want to lower that barrier people feel to making a game, and I hope it inspire you to go out and try it yourself. Thank you to everyone who dropped by last week, and to all of those who watched the video on YouTube, as well as all of you who caught the Christmas episode on YouTube. That's over there. Did have two versions of it. One is an abridged version, which is just 45 minutes. I basically sped past a lot of like the parts which are, scripting and, drawing out pixel art and stuff, because probably a lot of you have seen that before. You kind of know what's up. And you probably didn't have much time during Christmas anyway, so did that. But there's also the unabridged version in just the regular game development playlist. For those of you here with me on Twitch, feel free to drop suggestions or ask questions at any time. I may not be able to answer them right away because, well, one, I do have the Twitch feed on like a laptop off to the side, so I have to kind of look over there. And two, I am working, so I try to focus on something, and then once I reach either a stopping point or a confusing point, then I look over and check the chat. But if I don't get to your questions, just send me a private message here, leave a comment on our site or YouTube video, and I should be able to get to it. If any of you out there are making something and don't mind showing it off, definitely send me a link to your stuff. I'd love to see it. I think last week someone sent a link to their Unity project, and I played around with it a little bit. Got a little distracted. But at this time every week for 2 hours, I come onto Twitch TV to work on the game Project Spaghetti, which is a top-down 2D cowboy shooter where the bullets fired bounce around the screen with a pinball mechanic. Last week I made it easier to tell how many lives the player had by giving the cowboy character two states, fully clothed and not so fully clothed. And this week I'm going to be working on the boss, or a boss anyway. I'm not sure how many bosses I'm going to have in the game, but it's mainly a test to see if the game works with larger characters as well as more complicated patterns. And I did put a post up on the site about well, let me jump over there actually. Get this thing out of the way. Yes, I use Open Broadcaster. Head on over to bluetengu.com just to show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, right at the top for now anyway is good, bad, and ugly boss design. It's not a super in-depth article, and it does go into a lot of things that probably anyone who's played a game knows. But talking about what good design is for a boss, and the point made in this is that a boss should test skills that you already have, as opposed to just suddenly surprising you with something and forcing you to do something new. So I gave an example of if the game has forced you to like run, jump, and use a freeze ray, then the boss should require you to use those three things, even if it requires you to use them in new ways. And the main reason I brought me over here is just so I can remind myself as well. In Project Spaghetti, there's a couple of stages so far. The town area, which is what we started with for the first couple of months as we got the mechanics in there, which mostly has just cowboys who are shooting and whatnot, shooting and ducking. So shooting at enemies that dodge your bullets as well as dodging bullets are probably the two skills that a player would have at the end of that. So whatever the boss test has to kind of work on that. The graveyard area was setting bullets bouncing on bumpers and managing fast enemies that swarm, so probably a boss would have to challenge those things. And the desert area with the scorpions, getting behind enemies armored in the front, who are always facing you, for example, and running from charging enemies, because if you hit them where they're armored, they start charging you. Those are probably 2 skills. The night area, which is the alien level, is maneuvering enemies into hitting each other and reflecting off of crystals, as well as hitting shielded enemies the moment that shield drops. And the Christmas area that I did during the Christmas special is dealing with enemies that grow more difficult and vary in behavior as they get hit. Let's make that another Google and go back to Trello. But that's mainly that. So the first boss I want to try is probably the boss for the town level. I have a clear idea of what I want to do on some of the other levels, but I do want to kind of go in order. So let's go over here, and I'm just going to do Boss Cowboy, Sprite Rough, and gameplay parameters. For the Sprite, because it is a rough Sprite, all I'm going to do is basically double the size of an existing Bad Cowboy Sprite, change the color up, and drop it in the game, see how it is. And probably in a stage without bumpers or a very weird bumper configuration, just to set that up. And gameplay parameter wise, what I'm thinking is probably, because it's testing the player's ability to duck bullets, that probably means there has to be at least a lot of them. And what I could do, I had a bunch of notes in this, but I could do something like this. Do my usual paintbrush magic. So if this is the boss, and this is the player, the boss could do, since like the green cowboy enemies in the game fire ahead of the player based on where the player is moving, whereas the red ones kind of fire at the player, which is what makes the green ones more challenging. What I could do is have a boss that fires 3 bullets, for example. One that matches the green one that matches the red one, and then an extra one that's kind of like the reverse of the green one. Because if those 3 bullets fire out at the same time, it's gonna more or less force the player to duck. Like, up until this point, they might have been able to just kind of run out of the way of the bullets, but this will force them to duck. So I think that's a pretty useful mechanic. Might as well save these things. Call it bullet spray and get that out of the way. So that's what I'll do first. Let's move this over to in progress. This should be over here actually. And get started on just whipping up that sprite. I hope you guys are having a nice holiday break, by the way. I did do that weird Christmas special, so if you have time, definitely check it out. It's definitely different from other episodes. So, enemies, Bad Cowboy. Okay. Is that really all I do? Badger Cowboy? No, that's not. Test Cowboy, but they're in here. That's it. Okay. But I think for now, I'm just going to do the sprite where it's facing down. And I'm not going to worry about like where the gun is and stuff like that, because the main thing is to get into the game mechanics. Because I already know what sprites look like. It's just literally drawing it. So that's not going to be very interesting. Or, in terms of agile stuff too, it's not very risky, because I know I can do it, so better to do risky stuff first. So what I will do is, just so that I remember that I do have to do all these different animations, let's see, Boss Cowboy, let's call it Boss Cowboy, save a copy in here, and my voice is definitely giving out on me today. I don't have a cold, I don't think, but sorry. Just probably the dry Japanese weather. Let's see, front. That's probably the one I want to work with. So the first thing I need to do is double the size of this whole document, I guess, image size. So 48 by 42. And I do have Photoshop set up to do nearest neighbor so the pixels just transfer. And let's pick another color. For those of you who haven't seen the show before, I always use the Commodore 64 palette, because in some ways this game is an homage to the Commodore 64. Obviously it's not limiting itself completely to the Commodore 64 hardware or anything, but because there are particle effects and things like that, but just in terms of the graphic style. So let's make this guy look dangerous, obviously. And yeah, that's fine. So that's front. And there's one other thing I have to worry about with a boss enemy, and that's that obviously it wouldn't be much of a boss if you could kill it in one hit. So there's probably also going to have to be a flashing effect, because if you look at the Commodore 64 palette, a lot of games what they'll do is every time the boss takes damage or something, they'll change its color or something so you know that you're doing damage. Don't really have enough colors to do something like that. So it's probably going to have to be something like just flashing it when it gets hit so that you know you did damage and the bullet's not just disappearing or whatever. So I probably will need to create a flashing boss. No, don't need to save that again. So let's look. Boss cowboy. Front 00, that's fine. Front 00 is fine. And in terms of flashing, I guess I could just use transparency in GameMaker and see how that works, as opposed to shifting the colors, because again, I don't have that many colors I can work with. In terms of, like, for example, the desert level. Oops, yeah, I don't want to do browse. In terms of the desert level, let's see, desert background, there we go. It basically looks like that, so right off the bat, these kind of yellowish colors are out. Black is probably too strong, and it's used in the clothing anyway, same with white. So that basically leaves, the purple, the bluish colors, the greens, which I'm already using in the badger cowboy enemies, and the reds, which I'm using in the normal cowboy enemies. So color shifting is probably not an option unless I do it just fast enough where it looks like it flashes. But I'm going to try transparency first and see how it goes with that, because that would certainly be the easier way to go. So going over to GameMaker Studio, which is what I use to make this game. Great software for 2D games, very easy to use. First thing's going to be to bring that sprite in. So make the group. Badger cowboy, boss cowboy. And I should probably just copy one of these sprites over. Let's see, it would be sprite cowboy down, because it'll be facing down by default. Down. Load that big sprite in. It's probably one of the big tests that's going to happen is to see if something this large can actually maneuver around in that game. Because I could just make it the same size as the other cowboys and just make it a tougher enemy, but it doesn't feel much like a boss if it's the same size as the player. GameMaker does have problems with that. Okay. And modify. I do have to remodify this to kind of parallel what I'm doing with these guys. So I'm basically trimming off the antenna and the feet in the collision. So I need to do that here too, because GameMaker handles the collision checks inside of the sprites. So let's shave off the antenna. Yeah, it looks about right. It's kind of hard to see, I'm sure, for you guys, but 15, 16, yeah, that's pretty good. 29 looks fine. As I said before, it's probably a good idea to keep enemy hitboxes a little bit wider than, for example, player hitboxes, because, you know, people being people, if the player just scrapes the bullet or something, they're going to think they didn't get hit, whereas if they shoot a bullet at an enemy that scrapes the enemy, they're going to think the enemy got hit. Obviously, positive thinking. So you kind of want to support that and not make the hitbox too small on enemies, because otherwise the player will think bullets are going through them. Let's see. Okay, so that's my sprite. In terms of objects, now I have to make the enemy object itself, which uses that sprite. Probably just copy one of these, the bad cowboy or the battered cowboy. And bring in that sprite. So it's just always going to be facing down for a while. So let's see. For now, just I guess I could just comment all of these things out. Now I could comment this stuff in here, because there's no sprites to switch between, and later on there will be, so might as well keep that. Yeah. Well, none of this really matters until I get animation in, so actually let's make it easy to get this stuff back when I need it. Let's get these comments and just comment out the whole thing, because the sprite shouldn't change anyway, so let's just do that. And that'll do that. Draw the pathing, shooting angle. The thing that's going to have to be different from other enemies is obviously it's going to have its own health, which is different than I've ever done with enemies before. So I do need to work on that. Create. Well, let's boost the score up here. Times 50. Let's give the player plenty of points if they kill this guy. So times 100 for the score. Dodge weight. The dodge weight should be... That's one of the things the boss should be able to do better than other enemies, is dodge faster and more often. Shoot frequency, that should be fine, alright. It's just going to shoot more bullets when it does shoot. Target lead, that should be fine. Well, let's see. What do I do with the battery cowboy? Target leads 0.75. Yeah, okay, I'll just leave it for now. And I think that's all I need to do for that. The thing I need to do is when it gets hit, I need to override some of these things. Like getting hit by bullets going to be different for this enemy than other enemies, so I need to copy this stuff and modify it. So it's inheriting from enemy, which means by default if I don't put anything in here, it just acts the same as other enemies. Let's see, collision with bullet. Okay. So this is the exact same thing as the enemy collision with the bullet, but if not dodging, there's going to be more stuff going on in here. So let's call it enemy health. So if its health is down to 1, Is that how I should do that? Yeah, if its health is down, well, let's lives. No, I'll do health. If its health goes down to 1 and it takes another bullet, then business as usual, it dies. The kill count's incremented, it disappears, everything else. Otherwise, let's see, otherwise the enemy has been hit. So we'll set that to true. So I do need to remind myself that I need those. So let's pull up a notepad. Actually, not a notepad. Let's just do it in here. Okay, so EM hit. Yeah, pardon my writing skills, by the way. EM hit, EM health. Just have to remember these variables that I have to make, otherwise it'll crash when I start trying things out. So EM hit's true, that means it took a hit. It's currently in the hit state. Also, its health obviously goes down. -1. So, well, I guess I could just do that now. So EM hit, EM health is true. Let's add those variables in. EM hit is false because it starts off not hit. And EM health, heat, starts out at, let's just go with 5 to begin with. So you have to shoot it 5 times to kill it. So that's for bullet. Gonna have to do the same thing for explosions, because otherwise an explosion will kill it automatically. So collision with an explosion. Does that, else do the same thing. I guess I could have just copied this over. Thought there might have been something different to the explosion code. Better safe than sorry, I guess. One other thing is, if not dodging and not hit, I should say. Because I don't want the player to be able to shoot like 5 bullets into the enemy while they're hit or something and kill it instantly. And I do the same thing for the laser, just in case I mix and match enemies later on. So I can copy that over. Okay. And let's see, I do need an alarm as well to tell it to stop being in that hit state. So let's see, what alarms can I use? I use 0, 1, 2, 3, and 7, so let's use 4, because that one's free. So the only thing this needs to do is say EM hit is false. No, so it's no longer hurt. And let's see, what else can I do? Let's see. Well, yeah, I do need to trigger the alarm, so... Let's see, EM recover delay. Let's set this to, for now, 2 seconds. So it stays hit for 2 seconds now. Yeah, alright, 2 seconds is probably fine. We'll try it. So EM recover delay. The reason I'm not making this one a global variable like I do, well, not a global variable, a constant like I do a lot of these things, is because, you know, I may want to make several variations of the boss, and I may want to also do something like it recovers faster as it speeds up or something. So like this base speed might speed up as it gets hit as well as like the shooting cooldown and stuff. So the more you hit it, the more dangerous it gets. So I want to leave that possibility open. So EM recover delay is in seconds, well as in frames, so I can just set an alarm based on that. So I'm going to call that alarm I just made in EM recover delay. Is that what I called it? Yeah, okay. Let's add that in. Okay. So now it'll be in the hit state for 2 seconds. It has health, getting there. Let's see. One other thing I need to do is that whole transparency thing that I was talking about. But for now, let's actually just test it and try it out. So I do need a level to actually try it out in, because I don't want to do too many steps before actually seeing it in game, because then if something does go wrong, then that's going to be a lot of stuff I have to check through to see if I get it right or not. So let's duplicate this and call it room town boss. And I don't need this stuff. I could just maybe put it here. And get rid of all these. Well, I can keep them there, I guess. And what should I do? First off, these need to get off into the corner or something. All these red circles are basically those bumpers that I talked about at the beginning of the show that bullets can bounce off of. Just as an experiment, let's put this up there. And these are pickups. Yeah, those two should be fine. Now just where to put the boss. Do I start him off on the screen right away, or do I start him off screen? Let's start him off screen. Have him come in from the right. Ideally, he'd come in from the top, but the way I have my BG now, that's going to be kind of weird. So let's have him come in from the right. Okay, so when he first spawns, he should walk into the left and then start behaving with his AI or whatever. So that's town boss. Let's move that up a little bit. So that'll be level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I need to add that level into my world here. Otherwise it will never go to that level. Level list. So let's see, town. I put it after snow. Thanks to Game of Thrones, like whenever I see snow, I want to pronounce it in a very weird way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so level 6 is the boss one. Don't have any music, but I do have it queued up, so I need to add this, otherwise it'll bug out on me. And what else do I need to change? I think I have to change something on the room manager. Game. Enemy spawn, I need to change some of this stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. So the boss has to probably have something different from other enemies in terms of how they appear. So I'm not going to use the standard spawn thing. Let's copy this. Just to make sure that other bad cowboys don't just start wandering into the level if I don't want them to. Because that might be one of the boss's abilities, is to call other cowboys every time it gets hit or something like that. Should be interesting. Why does it feel like I'm missing a level in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 to the town boss, which is what I just made. So let's get rid of that. Let's just make this 500 seconds. No, I don't have to do that. I can keep this off and do this. I hope. As long as that's 0, hopefully it doesn't look at this, because otherwise it'll say there's no variable or something and crash. Okay. 7, so town 2 is 7. Town 3 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I should only have 8 levels. Not sure where that 9th one came from. Let's see. Creates. That's fine. Enemy direction spawn array. Oh, okay, I just had 8. Alright, never mind. For some reason I thought I had 9. So let's see, what else do I have to do? Where is it in here? Oh, this is where it was. Oh, okay, because room 9 is the victory room. Okay, never mind all that. Should be fine. Room manager, do I have to change anything in here? Initialize the spawn array, that's just a debug message. Call spawn array, that's fine. Play the start jingle, that's all fine. The bumper obstacle array, okay, I do need to change that. Good thing I looked in here. Is the room dark or light? Yeah, I need to change that. Seven, 8. The boss room is not a dark room, so that should stay false. That's fine. And point multiplier. Yeah, that should be alright. Let's see, 5. That's the snowman level. That's the boss level. Okay. And the last thing is the bumper spawn array. I think I had 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's make those all barrels. Yep, that should be fine. Okay. So theoretically it should work, but let's give it a shot. And I'll move that up so you guys can see it better. So level 6, I'm going to use a debug switch to jump right to level 6. But before I go to the boss, I guess I should show you the gameplay. Basically, in this game, your whole job is to dodge bullets which bounce around the screen with a pinball mechanic. You can also fire bullets as long as you have them. You can duck if you want to. You can also do a sliding duck. And the enemies, as long as they've had enough cooldown to dodge, they can dodge your bullets. But you can use reflection to end up killing them anyway. So the boss is going to have to test these mechanics, basically. The ability to dodge bullets, and to hit enemies that dodge. So let's jump to level 6 where the boss should be. And let's see, RM, enemy array, action set alarm. Okay, so even if I set enemies to 0, it's going to try to access that array variable I had. So let's see, action number 23. Let's fix that. RM start. So actually, I should have a safety in here. to say if the enemy count is greater than 0, then do this stuff. So let's see. See if I can remember that variable name. So enemy spawn array, rm enemy count. So only if this is greater than 0, do that. Spawn the first enemy. Grid path initialization, that's still fine, I hope. Okay, that should fix that problem. Hopefully it's not being used anywhere else, but we'll find out. Okay, that's another problem. Let's see. Yeah, because right now the victory condition for a room is based on whether or not all the enemies are dead. Let's get around it the easy way first, because this isn't really what I want to be testing anyway. So rm spawn. Let's create a variable for spawn, whether or not enemies should be spawned in here. And so far that's the only level where it should be false. So rm spawn, so that's the variable I should be looking at instead for this. So if there are enemies to spawn, then start spawning them. That way I shouldn't have to worry about the enemy counts. So I do need to change that for that level. So this is not 0, it's 1, because there will be the boss enemy. Okay, so now I'm in here, I just have to get the boss into the map. So when I spawn the boss, let's see, the first node it should move toward, well, it should just move towards the middle of the screen. So let's look up linker path finding. What should I do actually? I wonder if there's a way I can just get away with specifying this move node. So I don't think I want him to just randomly start going around the screen, because that's not very boss-like. But I guess when he spawns he would go to the closest room node, so it may not be too bad. Let's just see what happens. Because by default the enemies do enter the screen to the nearest move node that they have. Let's see. I guess because I'm not going through the normal spawning thing, it's not setting up the AI either. So let's stick with the basic spawning system. So I guess I will stick with it. Boss. In 2 seconds, that's fine. And spawn is true. Because that could be useful for the future, but so let's try having it spawn in. Wish I could control where it spawned in from. But for now, let's just test it. Let's see if it comes onto the screen somewhere. And then we can worry about the details. Okay, so there he is. He's on the screen. He's basically firing with just the green cowboy's mechanic. And he's very good at ducking. So good at ducking, in fact, that there's basically no way to hit him. I guess I got an explosion. So let's see. I guess I do need to create a sprite for ducking, because otherwise it's really hard to see what he's doing there. So let's do that. Down front, dodge front. Okay, let's make this sprite for him too. It's not like it's that hard to make these sprites because it's just a matter of changing the color. Dodge front. And let's bring that in. Not to there, up to here. So dodge down. Change the sprite to that one. And I don't want to change his collision because that'll screw things up. So 16, 29, 439. 16, 29, 439. 16, 29, 439. Because he's not going to take a hit when he's dodging anyway, but I just need that collision to be the same so he doesn't like suddenly warp onto the player or some other enemy or something. So boss cowboy dodge. So when he's dodging, he should be showing that sprite. So I guess I do need this. I can get rid of that. And for now, let's see. For now I want to make everything the same sprite, so I'll get rid of these ones for up, left, and right, and just make everything switch to the dodge. And if he's not dodging, then I have to do this. So once again, there's no up, right, or left yet, so let's get rid of these. Oh, that's the one I need. I need to get rid of these brakes too. And to make this work, yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Let's comment out the switch. That'll be easier. Don't want to start moving things around because then it'll be different from other enemies and I don't want that to cause a mistake in the future. So let's get rid of the switch statement and just replace it with sprite index equals SPR boss cowboy down. Image x scale is equal to 1, and I don't need a break, so let's just do that. Same with up here. Make that one dodge down, and comment out the switch. So I can bring these back. that switch. Okay, so now it should switch between the dodge graphic and the non-dodge graphic if I did everything right. And let's change this dodge weight cooldown to 1.5. Because what the problem is, if that dodge cooldown is too short, it'll end up in a situation where while he's dodging, that counter is going. So when he pops back up, he's already ready to dodge again. So that needs to be adjusted. I should be able to hit him this time, because I don't think the dodge lasts more than a second. Okay. He's ducking properly, and I think I did hit him. Twice, actually. Should be down to his last health thing here. There we go. Okay, so he's working. Obviously, there's no way to tell when he's being hit or not, which is why I need him to react to that. The other thing I guess I could do is have him do something similar to what the player does, which is falls down, has the stars over his head, which is probably a good idea anyway, because while he's hurt, you can't hit him again. So if that's the case, I should probably do that sprite as well. Let's see. I probably should have copied just the player sprite, because that has more options, but more animations, I should say. So let's go to the player. So this is the player sprite. So I want something where he's down on the ground, damaged front, hurt. Let's see, hurt right. I need hurt down, if I can find it. Hurt front, okay, that's what I want. So let's bring that up. So I want a version of that for the boss enemy. And basically I'm just pulling out his legs and putting them like that where his arms end, right? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's probably all I'm doing. So let's duplicate this and call it hurt front. No, actually, not that one. I don't want to duplicate that one because that one's not going to be a good one to copy. I want to duplicate, where is it? The standard one. That one. Okay, so hurt front 0, 0. Copy that one. Alright, now I can just get rid of his gun. I think it's just trimming him down to that. Let me take a look at the player again. Okay, yeah, it's basically just that. He is on the ground, so I do need to copy it down, I guess. So it's basically that state. Okay. Doesn't work very well because his vest is the same color as his shoes, but I can worry about that later. Well, let's see. First merge those. Oh, okay, I already had a hurt front. For some reason I didn't think the bad cowboys had it. So let's just work with that. That's easier. Because I've already done the thing that I was about to do, which is drawing lines to make sure you can see where his shoes stop. So all I need to do is copy the color over. Okay, and make sure he has a hurt state. So hurt front 0, 0. Okay, and I'll save the PDF as well. And I'll bring that sprite over here. Duplicate sprite boss cowboy hurt down. Load in that state. And I need to change the collision as well. So 1629, 439, 1629, 439, 439. Just so he shares the same collision with everyone else. And now I'll have a hurt state. So I do need to add that to the boss as well. Was I using hit or hurt? Let me just make sure. Hit, okay. Okay, so now if he's hit, he should just show up on the ground like that. And I probably want a similar effect to what I'm using with the player when he gets hit. Peel dodge, peel hurt. Okay, I'm not doing an effect in here, so it's probably when he does get hit by something. Okay, so it's this. Okay, copy that over. So, if he just gets hurt, then I need to add that. So this goes into here. Show some stars above the boss's head. And I'm going to need to change those stars because the boss is a lot bigger than the player. But, let's see. 1, 1, 1. I think that's enough to change the size to make them bigger. Everything else is based on sprite width and height, so it should work even for the boss. Sound effect should be the same. Hit's true, set that to false. Okay. Let's see what happens. Hopefully that's enough to get it to fall down to the ground and have stars over its head when it's hurt. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. I just need to stop it moving. So, let's see. Bad cowboy, enemy. Oops. Enemy, the thing that tells it whether it's going to stop moving or not. If dodging or shooting, stop movement. So I need to override this step, which means I need to copy all of this over into boss cowboy for step. So in addition to aiming and shooting and dodging, EM hit. If it's hit, then don't move either. Okay. Let's see how that goes. So back to the boss. Earned a few extra seconds of breathing room there because he spawned in up there. Oops, killed myself. Okay. It's pretty good. I'm noticing one thing, and that's that if he's hurt, he can still dodge, which is weird. So I do need to change that. He's definitely boss-like in that he's hard to kill, I guess, because you do run out of bullets, and he's a very good dodger. He has 5 hit points now. Yeah, I'm definitely going to die faster than this guy. Okay, so at least challenge-wise he's about right. Do need to show him actually, like, flashing or something when he's hurt. Do need to do something when he's losing health, because there is no way to really tell how many more hits you have to get on the guy. And that's kind of bugging me. The hurt state's kind of covering the whole having to flash him thing. Let's see, what should I do first? I guess I should maybe vary up his attack patterns first, but I don't know. Let's see. What can I do animation-wise? Maybe there's something I can do animation-wise. Edit Sprite. Animation. I could fade to a different color, but then I'd kind of defeat the purpose of using the Commodore 64 palette. You could definitely have them start to flash back and forth between 2 different colors. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Let's try that. So animation, fade, colorize or fade to color? Let's see which one I want to go with. And to make sure that I keep the colors in the Commodore 64 palette, let's check this pink and see what it is. 249, 155, 151 is the RGB value. Although, you know, just as I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, the Commodore 64's palette didn't work with red, green, and blue values, so nothing on the PC is exactly right, but this is pretty close. 249, 155, 151. 59, 151. Let me just make sure that's what it is. 249, 155. 155, 151. Good thing I checked. Okay. And let's do that. Number of frames. Let's see. Because what I'm picturing right now is that it'll switch between these 2 colors. At first very slow, and then faster and faster as you do more damage. By the end it should be flashing pretty quickly, but for now, let's go with 30 frames. Let's see what that's like. It fades the whole thing to that color. That's no good. Never mind. That's not going to work. Animation. Yeah, duh, it's going to fade the whole thing to that color. Alright, let's just make it then. It's going to kind of double the amount of sprites I have to do for a boss enemy, but it's not. At least it's just shifting colors, so it shouldn't be too bad. Front 0, 0. Let's use 50 for the hurt color. And let's fill that in. We'll see how this looks. It may not look like what I'm expecting. So I need to do 50 versions of the other ones. And what's the other one? Dodge. So I need to dodge front 50 as well. Those are the only three sprites that I'm using right now. So, what is it? Dodge front. Dodge front 50. Okay, let's bring that in. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I guess I could just put it in the animation, but because eventually they'll be walking, so the foot movements will be the animation. So I guess I just have to make a different sprite. Cowboy D2. That looks pretty bad. D. Yeah, I do want to use animation in a way, but yeah, there's got to be a better way to do this, because I'm thinking switching colors back and forth is going to be a real big hassle. Oh, okay. PandaBits dropped by and said, busy, so just dropping in for the moment, but Merry Christmas. Thank you for dropping by. I know a lot of you guys are busy during the Christmas holiday, and I'm happy to see you. Merry Christmas to you as well. I hope you did catch the Christmas special, but it's waiting for you on YouTube whenever you want to watch it. Hope you do have a good day. Thank you for dropping by. Just to let you know, before you drop out, I am working on boss enemies like I mentioned last week. So I'm just making a giant version of the boss cowboy right now and varying up its attack patterns, as well as how much health it has. And right now my only thing is showing how much health it has left. Just trying to figure out a good way to do that. I don't think changing colors is the way to go. It just feels like there's got to be something else, like maybe a particle effect I can use. Yeah, I know. Let's get rid of that. I don't think changing the color is the way to go. So I'm going to get rid of these. Well, I'll keep them for now, but I won't worry about them. Okay, what I'm going to do is, while I think about that, I may just have to look up a few things, because there could be like shaders and things I can use to change the colors, or I could use a particle effect, but either way, it's probably not something I'm going to get right now. So I'll add that for a future task. Let's see. Once I figure out what I need to do, it won't take that long, so half an hour. Health state. So visualize the health state. And we'll move on from that, because I'm kind of stuck on that one right now, so let's move that off. Okay. So let's get into gameplay again while I think about that. Obviously, if you guys have any ideas, let me know. So let's see. Boss Cowboy, based on its health state, its AI has to change, like the way it's shooting, for example. Which means, let's see, which alarm is it? SCR Fire Shot has to change in some ways. What else do I have to change? Choose the shooting angle. Okay, so there's shoot angle. This all has to change for the boss character as well. Because if the boss is going to fire multiple bullets at the same time, either at the same time or one right after the other, I guess I could get away with just calling this script, firing the bullet, calling the script, firing the bullet, and just kind of alternate back and forth, so I don't have to do too much modification. It's probably not going to worry about a clean shot. EM shoot angle and EM target lead. That's going to come in handy. because I'm going to have to reverse that to get a bullet to fire where the player was. Okay, I think I can get away with just using this script. This should be interesting. So alarm 0 is the one that actually fires the bullet. Apparently. Okay, so let's copy alarm 0. Since I need to override that behavior. So alarm 0 needs to be different for the boss enemy. Let's see. In Panovitz mentions, be sure to check past broadcasts when he gets back. Good luck with the implementation. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully I get an interesting boss enemy working by the time this episode ends. I think I can do it. Let's see. Won't be able to display the hurt state, but I think I can do this stuff. I don't think he's going to worry about clean shots because he is a boss. So if he happens to shoot at other bad cowboys or whatever, it's like, nah, it's their fault for getting in the way. He's the boss. That's what bosses are like, right? In real life as well. So, dodge, cooldown, reset, aiming false. That's if he doesn't. So he's always going to shoot. He's not going to worry about clean shots. So first off, choose the shooting angle. Whoops, did I get rid of too much stuff there? I probably got rid of too much stuff. Let me check again. If there's a clean shot fired to spawn the bullet. Oh, okay, so 7 is the one that spawns the bullet. Do I need to override this as well? Alarm 7 is the one actually spawning the bullet. Yeah, I think I need to override alarm 7 as well. Because I can't call it 3 times, because it would just call it once. The way alarms work, it would just reset the time. CR fire shot. Let me just copy that. Well, let's copy alarm 7 over, since it's obviously going to need to be different. And this, I'm actually going to want to change the direction in here and fire the bullet. So it changes the enemy direction. Shoot angle. You know what? The boss isn't probably going to work like other enemies because right now, don't need that anymore. Right now, to keep it fair with the other cowboys, what I do have is they can only fire, like the player, in only one of 8 directions, which is why, you know, the angle where the player is, like for example, if the player's here, it calculates this angle. If I can draw a proper geometric angle, calculates this angle, figures out that the player's closer to here than to here, and then fires the bullet this way. With the boss, I probably can't limit it to just the 8 directions. So I should just use the shoot angle? I don't know. That doesn't seem very fair. What I could do, I guess, is figure out which one is closest to the player. So it'd be like this direction, for example. Figure out this one, and then shoot a bullet this way, and this way to kind of cover that fork off in that direction. That seems like a pretty good way to go. So, okay, based on this direction, so I need a different script actually for this, for firing the shot. So I will move that back to 7. And I'm going to do SCR boss fire shot. So let's copy this over. I can just duplicate the script. So let's go with this. Fire shot boss. Okay, and let's start modifying this. So check to make sure the position is open. This is just because you don't want them to spawn a bullet inside of a barrel and things like that, so that should all be fine. Same with shields and all that. Clear shot is true. And then create the bullet instance. Set the speed to be all current minus speed. Okay, so let's see. If argument is so, if it's up left, I need a bullet to fire up and left. So just so I can keep track of this in my head, if, for example, the enemy is ordinarily going to fire a bullet in this upright direction, that means I also need to fire a bullet up and right. Okay, but I do need to take a break because my voice is dying on me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the usual animation that I play every week. Should be about 8 minutes or so before I'm back, but once I'm back, I'm going to start implementing this forking shooting mechanic. For those of you watching this later on YouTube, I'll be back in like half a second. Thank you for waiting while I took that break. Hope that weirdness didn't scare too many of you off, especially if you've never seen Who's the Boss and you didn't grow up in the 80s, then, well, yeah, it's probably very weird. But let's get back into it. Where I am right now with this is deciding where to put the bullets, where to spawn the bullets when the boss shoots. The main thing is to not have the boss just shooting one bullet, but to shoot multiple bullets, depending on its health state, which is something else I was thinking about during the break. But, you know, thinking about it more and more, what's probably going to happen if I do something like this is that the boss is going to end up shooting itself more often than not, because if the player is over here, this bullet makes sense to fire out towards the player, but if the boss fires out these bullets, especially like at straight angles, it's just going to come right back to the boss who has to duck these bullets. So I think the boss is bigger, and as long as the bullets come out at the same time, I guess you could just consider it part of its attack that it's kind of firing off this narrower kind of beam of bullets. So let's save that just in case. And let's see, what I should be doing is in here spawning multiple bullets rather than like trying to go through here multiple times or something and changing direction and all of that. So like if it's up left, fire this set of bullets based on its health. So let's see, if let's see, EM health is greater than, let's say 3, or let's just say EM health divided by, I want to do integer division, so let's game maker div mod. Okay, so just mod and div. Okay, so when its health gets down to, let's say, half, +1. Whoops, let's go div. Oh yeah, that's going to be weird. Okay, so health divided by 2. And let's just start with that and see how it goes. Whether I need to add or shift things around, that'll depend. But the reason I wanted to do based on its health rather than an actual number is, what if I want to move the boss's health up to like 50 or something crazy, for example, or if I want to drop it down to 3 because it's taking too long to kill. I want to make sure that doesn't affect this logic too much. So if its health is greater than 2, then maybe just go about spawning 1 bullet. But if its health Else, yeah, okay, I'm fine. Else if it's down to its last quarter, as long as it's somewhere between half its health and a quarter of its health, then start firing forking bullets. Let's see. So I need to do 3 of these. If I'm going to do a fork, I need 3. Just so I remember what these things are. Let's see, add the player. Angle 1. I guess that's about all I can call it. Angle 2. And let's see, in this case, because this is going up and to the left, the bullet is being spawned with the speed. I mean, I guess I could have just used directions and just regular speed or whatever, but let's see. Since I'm not doing that, I'm going to spawn the bullets in the same place and fork them out, so that's fine. It's just the speed that needs to be changed. Because if it's horizontal speed and vertical speed are the same, they're going to fire at a 45-degree angle. So what I could do is 2, maybe. And then 2. Something tells me this bullet's going faster than it should be. Let me find one of these. If it's going left, it just fires, yeah, at normal speed. Whether that's good or not, I don't know. So I'm just realizing now that bullets fired at an angular speed move faster than bullets that fire at normal speed. So that may be something I need to adjust later. And since that's going to be quite a bit of modification, let me just put that at 1. And I'll leave that as a future task, because that affects every bullet in the game. And that might be why it's worth just doing direction and speed instead of doing this stuff. But I'm not going to worry about it for now. Times 2. Probably not what I want to be doing. Since the speed is kind of screwy anyway, I'm just going to see if this works for now and worry about the actual variables later. So ignore the fact that the bullets are going to be moving at different speeds, or appear to be anyway. So the forked bullets are going to move faster than the middle bullet in this setup. Just to make sure it's not completely off, let's do this. It should be enough to get them just kind of moving in a different direction. The speed's going to be weird, but let's live with that. And if it's ready to die, then let's add even 2 more bullets to that. Just to make the boss go crazy when it's about to die. Make things really hard for the player. And divided by 3. Let's go with that. Divided by 3. Oops, I want to copy the other one. So divide by 3 up there, 1 there. I mean, divide by 1 is just 1, but in case I want to change those numbers later. And 3, 1 there. Okay, so when it's really going crazy, it'll fire off 5 bullets. That may be too much, we'll find out. Okay. So now I just need to do this for all the angles. Let's do the diagonals. Don't worry about Do I want to worry about up? Yeah, I'm not going to worry about up for now. Let's worry about this stuff. So in this, all the h speeds are going to be positive, because it's firing up and to the right, and in GameMaker coordinates going to the right, well, this is mirrored, so going to the right is a positive thing. Left, I'm going to skip that. Down, I'm going to skip that. Right, going to skip that. Down left means X is going minus, while Y is going positive. X is minus, well, Y is positive, so let's get rid of those minuses. Okay, and down and to the right is going to be both positives. And just realizing now that I need to change more than I have been changing, because there's 3 branches. So in this one, all the Y's have to be positive, so let's fix that. In this one, all of the X's have to be positive, so let's fix that. Okay, so now, at least at angles, it's going to fire in weird directions. Let's try up. What is up going to mean? Well, h speed's going to be 0 to start with. So h speed is going to be 0, v speed is going to be minus 0. So in the basic case, h speed is just 0. And v speed is going to be minus. So that needs to be the same for these. Now let's figure out what the other angles coming off of up mean. Let's see. So v speed, let's just keep v speed the same. Let's just always make v speed 1 for now, the vertical speed. And let's worry about horizontal speed. So in one fork, it's going to be minus and to the right. The other one, it's going to be positive. Let's do 1.5. I mean, these are all going to be very weird until I figure out what's going on. So that's going to kind of do it like that. And then I need to do the more extreme case. So this should be divided by 2 minus 1. Do I want to go as far as 1? I don't know. Maybe this should be 1.5. And this should be 2. We'll see what it looks like. Okay, so that's up. That's the up behavior. So let's do it for the other directions. Left is going to be just the opposite, where, well, let's do down first. Down's going to be the opposite, because all the v speeds will be positive. Did I copy too much of that stuff up there? Let me check. I definitely don't want to mess up my brackets at this point. Okay, there we go. Last thing I want to do is be debugging brackets again. So let's see, down, down, clear shot. So I just need to replace this with that. And the big difference is that view speeds are all going to be positive because it's going down. So the y is getting greater. Let's do left and right next. Same principle should apply, it's just that it's going to be the horizontal speeds. So the horizontal speeds are going to be minus. So probably the easiest way to do this actually is to just do this. Swap those. And if I need to, I can switch them back later so they make more sense. Be nice to my future self. Speed. Okay. And to be nice to my future self, I will switch these out now. Because otherwise I will always accidentally modify the wrong one, assuming that X is coming first and Y is coming second, which I don't want to do. A little bit of foresight now can save a lot of debugging later. By the way, just to hear what you guys are up to, have any of you been buying games on the Steam sale? Wonder what you think about this year's Steam sale. If you've picked up anything cool, let me know. I think I finally picked up Among the Sleep, which I did an unplugged episode on the demo of before, over on youtube.com Blue Tengu Studio, but so I finally get to play through the full game of that. Let's see, what else did I pick up? Dark Souls 2. Finally picked that up, so I can rage through that when I have enough time someday. That is one of those games where pretty much upset the entire way through, but for some reason I keep coming back for more. And the reason I hadn't picked it up so far is because in Japan anyway, because the publishers are different, it went on sale in the States like all the time, but it never went on sale in Japan until this Christmas, so that was very nice. Let's make sure I'm not going too far here. Okay. Get too chatty and then I'll start messing up. Let's not do that. So this is for the left version. So the right version is going to change all those horizontals to positives when I find it. There we go. Okay. I'm sure this will behave nothing like what I'm expecting in my head, but we'll see what happens, I guess. Alright, well hopefully I didn't mess up a bracket, because then I'll be here all day, but so that's Fireshot Boss. Let's go back to the boss. Make sure he's using Fireshot Boss. Fireshot Boss. Okay, so he's using the boss one. Alarm 0, I guess it's exactly the same then. It's just the fact that this is using a different script to fire. So let's get rid of this. Yeah, let's get rid of this and just use the parent Alarm 0. So the only thing that's changing is Alarm 7, which is good news. Alright, been a while since going into the game. Hopefully it doesn't bug out on me. Let's see what happens. At first he should just fire the one bullet. Lots of weirdness is happening. Lots of weirdness is happening. Now he's just confused. Yeah, that was just weird in all sorts of ways. One thing I need to do, I guess, is... That is centered, 24, 21. That's centered. That's not centered. Okay, well that's one problem. Let me just make sure that fixes one of the weird things that was happening with bullets coming out of like weird places. Let's send the bullet his way. Okay, now he at least looks like he's doing the right thing. So the bullets should come out of better places anyway. Still not great places though. He was doing alright before, so I must have done something to screw him up. Let's just see what happens if I put him back to just the regular fire shot. Just to see if it is my script that's kind of screwing things up. Yeah, he looks fine with that, so whatever I did in my boss script is what's making it weird. So what did I do wrong? So let's see, fire shot boss versus fire shot. If EM health is greater than EM health divided by 2, yeah, you would think it wouldn't change anything if it is coming into here. I guess I should make sure it's going into there. EM health is the thing I'm using, right? Boss cowboy, EM health is 5, yeah. 5 div 2 should be 2. So if it starts with 5 health should be greater than 2. Just put my parentheses there just to make sure that these things aren't evaluating in a weird way. Because I can definitely understand the forking part being weird because that's new, but the part that's not forking isn't new. So it has me a little worried about why that's causing a problem. Greater than should be the last thing evaluated, but just to be on the safe side. Because, you know, if these parentheses are messed up, obviously EM health is never going to be greater than EM health, and then if you divide true or whatever by, or false by 2 or something, it's 0 divided by 2, so it could just be a parentheses issue, an evaluation order thing. If that's the case, then this should at least fix it so that before it starts forking, the bullets look normal. So I'm not doing anything else different in these scripts other than this stuff. As far as I know, anyway. Well, hopefully that gets him acting normal, at least in the beginning. I like how he just pops in there at the bottom of the screen. Okay. Yeah, I guess it was evaluating greater than less than before integer division. So let's see. Now he should start firing crazy. Maybe. No, still firing normally. Is that because I haven't switched the script back? Maybe that's it. Yeah, okay, I just didn't switch this back. No wonder. Okay, sorry about that. That's one of those awkward debugging moments, I promise. Okay, well, let's see if he's normal in the beginning. No. That's very weird. I need to add some debug messages in there to figure out what's going on here, because that's very, very weird. As far as I can tell, I'm not doing anything different with where the bullet's spawning. It still should be spawning in the same place as when I use fire shot script. And I guess if I copy pasted something wrong, that would do it. Ah, that's probably what I did. Okay. Copy pasted wrong. Okay, let's fix that. Let's see. So let's see. Up left. Up left I don't need to worry about because that's the first one I did. This I think needs to change. Okay, here's what I did. When I was copy pasting all this stuff into the other places, I was changing the H speed and V speed, which is fine, but I wasn't changing the instance create, which is this X minus offset, Y minus offset, which determines where that bullet starts. Since I wasn't changing that, it's always going to spawn the bullet in the upper left and then start moving in whatever direction I had it moving in. So obviously that's going to cause problems. So I need to copy this over into the right places. So up. So all of the ups should spawn in this spot. So I need to change all of those bullet instance. This to this. Let's drag this out a little bit. At least I can fix that problem. The thing that kind of has me worried is the fact that it's not spawning multiple bullets even when the boss is getting hurt. So something's going wrong with that, but I guess I can fix that next. Upright. Bullet needs to spawn here. So plus and minus, plus and minus, plus and minus. And left needs to spawn here. But at least I'm not too far off from where I need to be. What could be happening is because I'm using the same name in these places, it's overwriting it. That could be why I'm only getting one bullet at a time. Could be. Let's see what this fixes first. Right. That's right. A lot of copying and pasting. It's the problem with having 8 directions and a bunch of branches. Yeah, I should definitely go back to using like just directions and speed. And then I wouldn't have to worry about most of this stuff. Let's see. This is that one. So this is down left. And down right, I think, is the last one. Yep. Yeah. Should be the last one. So fixing those. Yeah, there might be something I'm doing with bullet instance at the end that's causing the problem as well, if I'm using the same variable name to spawn these things. That could be a problem as well. Am I doing anything? No, I shouldn't be doing anything except shaking the screen when the boss fires, so let's see what this does. Hopefully the bullets will at least spawn in the right place even if there's only one of them. It'll start off with just one until the boss starts getting hurt. Okay, that looks like it fixed that. Hopefully I can get a power-up soon so I can survive. So much for my skills. Let's try to get the boss down. He can still shoot when he's hurt, so I need to fix that. He should be able to shoot multiple bullets now, theoretically. But he is not. He appears to be shooting the primary bullet. It's just the other bullets that aren't getting shot. Okay, so he is shooting the primary bullet, it's just the other bullets that aren't getting shot. Let's at least change those variable names in case that's causing the problem. So what I mean by that is bullet instance, because I'm using bullet instance over and over again here. That could be causing a problem. Shouldn't cause a problem though. I can't see that being the problem. But maybe GameMaker does something I don't expect. I don't know. Because I would have expected if... Well, what am I doing? I would have expected if there was a problem with this that would actually fire this bullet and overwrite these ones. But it's not doing that, so... Yeah, that's kind of weird. So it could just be that the ifs and elses aren't coming in here. That's the other possibility. Oops, don't want to change that one. But we'll see if this one fixes it. If it does, then it's obviously something I'm not expecting with the way variables work in this game. Studio, GameMaker Studio. If it's still a problem, then it's probably just the branching that's a problem. Yeah, quite a few to go here. 2, 3. I keep making that mistake. I need to go back and check to make sure I'm not doing that in other places. 2, 3. Because then things will really go haywire. I'm sure I forgot that in a couple of places. Yeesh, there's a lot of these. 2, 3. 4 and 5. And I think that, there's still one more. Okay. Let's go to it. 2. Be nice if this was the problem. After all this work changing this. Although, I don't know. The thing that would bother me about it is why is that the case? So I almost kind of hope this doesn't fix it. I need to go back through and check those to make sure I'm doing alright. These are all 2s, 3s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. 2s, 3s, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good thing I checked. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think I was getting more careful towards the end, so I shouldn't have any problems. Okay, let's see if this does change anything. It may or may not change anything. You know, as far as I know, it shouldn't change anything, but just in case something's happening that I'm not expecting. Let's get this guy down. Okay. He should be low on health now. Took him too low on health, I guess. But there's one other thing I need to do before I forget to, and that's enemy. I need to add a collision event for when it runs into a boss cowboy, because it's a little bit different. And dodge is true. Or EM hurt. It's true. How am I doing this for the player? When the bullet passes a player, if the player's dodging, then it boosts up. If the player's not dead or hurt, then do this stuff. Okay, that's where I need to do it. So let's, don't need to change this. We'll keep that at 1 just to keep it where it was. And copy exactly what I'm doing with the player, which is basically that. So I have an extra condition in here. So if EM hit is equal to false. So if it's not hit, then do what needs to be done. Okay. So that's that one. Doesn't seem like the branching is working, so what I need to do is add some debug messages into that script to see what's going on. Let me just make sure my logic's okay. If EM health is greater than EM health divided by 2, so if EM health is greater than half, then do that. Otherwise, if it's greater than a quarter, do that. Otherwise, do that. Yeah, the logic should be okay. Going to be quite a bit of cleanup when I get this debugged. can't be helped. Just to know that it's coming in here, because if it's not coming in here, then that's the problem. Okay, so now if it does go into those branches where it fires multiple bullets, it'll at least tell me at the bottom of the screen. You guys won't be able to see it though. Let me shift that up. Make sure you guys can see that. Looks like you can go to about there. Okay, so anything above that line you can see. Let's see what happens. So I need to get him down to 2 health. EM hit. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. That's one of those awkward debugging moments. Boss cowboy. The problem is I'm checking the wrong thing. If other EM hit is false. Okay. Because it's not the bullet EM hit that needs to be checked, it's the boss cowboy's EM hit that needs to be checked. So that should fix that. Head on over to the level. The guy's very good at dodging. I need to turn my debug on. I turned my player debug on so he's invincible and has unlimited ammo, since you can't see me doing that. Well, actually, the message is over there in the corner, so you can kind of see it, I guess. Let's take a few bullets for this guy, because otherwise he's just going to get hurt. Okay, well, let's try to do it. Trying to take his bullets because he's just going to get killed on me. But either way, I don't think it's going into those branches, is it? Let's see if it had any messages. Yeah, I don't think it was going into that. So something about the integer division maybe is weird. Let me try fixing that. See if that helps. Maybe integer division's not working the way I expect. What I could do, I guess, is when I come into here, fire shot boss, aiming false, that's fine. I guess what I could do is show his health as a debug message when I come into here. I think the health is fine though, because he is dying after 4 hits, so I think that's okay. But just so I have a reference when he fires a bullet. So let's get rid of the integer division. I probably don't need it anyway, to be honest. I was just being extra cautious. And that caution might have cost me a bug or something. Because if it decides to evaluate it based on a floating point anyway, it's like, yeah, whether it's greater than 2 or greater than 2.3, not going to make a difference. Because it's going to work either way. Hopefully I got rid of all the divs. Okay, let's see if this works any better. And it should give me a debug message every time he shoots how much health he has left as well. Oh, let me turn my invincibility on again. I don't want me dying to be the cause of problems. Show debug message and health. What is the problem? Oh, forgot how debug messages work. Okay, sorry about that. I have to put a string around this, otherwise it doesn't know what to do with it. Okay. Not a very helpful message from Game Maker Studio. Yeah, there's a problem. Okay, well, thanks. Good thing I knew what it was. Turn invincibility on again. So he's currently at 4 health. That message is coming up properly. He's at 3 now. Take some of these bullets. Okay. He is spawning multiple bullets now, so there was something wrong with that integer division. The way the bullets are working, it's kind of weird. Actually, I don't know what was causing that bullet. That was kind of weird. Let me make him take a few more hits. Now he's down to 2 health, so he should be firing out multiple bullets. But it's not going into that branch at all. So that's no good. So it should be down to 1 health now. Yeah, it wasn't going into that branch at all, so, you know, looking back through these messages, it just never mentions that. So that is the part that's failing. So let's see. EM health is not... Either this is always true, or... Why would this always be true? Because if it's 5, it should be greater than 2.5. Okay, yeah, maybe it is always true. Yeah, it is always true. Duh. Okay. Big awkward debugging moment on my part. This is an and an aw. The problem was I don't need its EM health, I need its total health. So that's what's causing my problem. So this is always true. So that is a problem. So total max health. Let's go with max health. So I need to create a variable called max health, which doesn't go down. I'm sure any of you guys watching this were probably screaming that in your heads as you saw this. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, I'm sure that's exactly what you're thinking as you're watching this. As I was probably coding that bit, you're probably thinking, that doesn't make any sense. Of course that's always true. Anything will always be greater than itself divided by 2 unless it's negative or something. Ah, what a relief. At least it's a fixable problem. I don't know what's causing those bullets that just spawn and stay stopped there. That's another problem. That's definitely weird. Because it's spawning bullets without any acceleration. Which should not be happening. I shouldn't say acceleration, without any speed. Okay, let's go to boss and make sure that I make that variable. Otherwise it'll give me an error. So boss cowboy, copy, paste. Okay, so EM max health is 5, and I need to make sure that when I change that I don't screw things up, so EM health should just be EM max health when it's created. Okay. Now I should be able to go into those branches. And I'll turn my invincibility on, and here we go. I think he needs one more hit. Okay, now he should be firing off multiple bullets. There we go. Now he's extremely dangerous. Again, there's that weird stuff happening where bullets are just spawning in one place and not moving after that. So I do need to fix that. I also need to fix the fact that when the boss is hurt, the bullet just passes through him. That's just an ordering problem. When he collides with a bullet, if EM hit is false, yeah, that's fine for this part. Let's see, when he's hurt. When he's hurt, what am I doing with the player when he runs into a bullet? Actually, I need to see it from the bullet's perspective. So if the player is dodging, yeah, that's fine, pass through. If the player is not dead or hurt, then destroy the instance. I think what's causing the problem is the fact that the bullet is putting the enemy into the hurt state, which is fine, but the enemy is going into the hurt state before the bullet processes what that means. So what's happening is the bullet is causing the own hurt state that makes it pass through the bad guy, which is no good. So what I should do, actually, is change the hurt state through here. VM dodge. It's true, that's fine. That's working fine. If the enemy's not hurt, then do this. So if he's not hurt, apply this. EM hit is true. And let's not do that in here. So no setting EM hit true into inside of the boss cowboy itself. It's not extremely logical, but kind of have to do it that way. Laser spots. Okay, well, let's see what happens. May have screwed things up with explosions and lasers, but I'm not going to worry about that too much for now. Let's just make sure that part works. So now when I hit the boss with the bullet, it should cause the bullet to disappear. Okay, good. That's working. Let me turn my invincibility on. He's still able to shoot while he's down, so that's no good. Now if I can just protect him. He should be firing off 3 bullets. There we go. Yeah, and they actually move with a pretty good speed, at least for the left. For the case where it's going left, that's not too bad. The up case isn't too bad either. Yeah, they look like they're forking out. There's weirdness going on with collisions and stuff. Yeah, the speeds are kind of weird when I get to 5 bullets, but I will leave that as a debugging task. Boss cowboy. Weird speed on bullets in case of 5. because that is obviously weird. So that's debug actually. Let's put that as a debug task. And in terms of time, it's not going to take that long to fix, but just don't want to do it today. The last thing I want to fix before wrapping up is just what was it? When he dodges or when he hits? When he's dodging, he can shoot? No, that's not right. When he's hit, he can still shoot. So I need to stop that from happening. So let's see. Enemy 0. Currently shooting. So that's all in the step, isn't it? Or is it in begin step? If there are no barrels in the way, if there are no other enemies in the way, then set shoot, aiming to true, and set that. Okay. So I guess I need to copy this begin step over too. I was hoping not to have to do that, but I think I have to. Because I have to set up a case where if he's hurt, he's not going to be able to shoot. So EM shoot is false or aiming is false. The other thing I could do, I guess, is have a hurt state for all enemies, except they're just never going into it. That might actually be the smarter way to go, because then in other boss characters, if I make them later, I can use that as well. So let's do that. So I don't need this. That's probably the smarter way to go. So everyone's going to have this hit. I should have made that hurt because it's player hurt, right? Yeah, it keeps screwing me up in my mind because they're two different variable names, but I'll fix that later. For now, what I'm going to do is enemy, CR enemy creates. That's this. I'm going to give every enemy in the game that variable and start it off with false, but only the boss is ever going to set it to true. So let's see. Yeah, everyone's going to have that now. So I can depend on it when I do the shoot check. So in addition to EM shoot and EM aiming being false as a condition for shooting, I'm going to have EM hit being false as a condition for shooting. And that should solve that problem where he's down on the ground with stars above his head, but he's still shooting at the player. And it'll be in pretty good shape. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Get my screen back to normal size here. I'll just restart it, that's probably easier. Okay. Let's see what happens. I'll turn my invincibility on again. And hopefully if he's hurt, he won't be able to shoot. It's going to be kind of hard to test, because that random chance of him shooting has to occur while he's down on the ground. And if it's working, then he's not going to shoot, so I'm not going to know. Okay, now he's off on his 3-bullet tangent. Trying to protect him as much as possible. 5 bullets up looks pretty good. So it's probably the angle ones that are weird. But that is a good place to stop, I think. Did get the boss cowboy in there. Did get him in multiple states depending on how hurt he is. Things I still need to do in terms of the boss cowboy are make sure that the player knows how hurt he is. And since I don't have a lot of colors to work with on the Commodore 64, I'm going to have to figure out some way to do that with either particles, maybe a shader, something like that. But the player needs to know without looking at debug messages, whether his health is 5 or 1. Obviously, the fact that he's shooting more bullets and stuff is one way to tell, but I don't think it's enough. What else do I need to do? I also need to debug that the speeds of the bullets that are coming out, that are forking out. Right now, it looks like the three bullet patterns are actually coming out pretty nicely. They're all kind of matching their speeds and coming out at an angle, so it kind of looks like he's firing a shotgun. The 5 case is weird, I think, for the diagonals, so I need to go in and fix that. That shouldn't take too long. And that's that. But did get at least the rough sprites that I need to check the gameplay in, and I do have the boss cowboy acting like a boss instead of a normal enemy. So that is going to do it for episode number 26. Let's think about what to do next week, which would be episode 27, next Saturday. Well, my Saturday, Friday for some of you guys. As the episodes grow, I guess this gives you a preview of how much work we've done. As the episodes grow, it takes longer to bring this over here, thanks to Trello not being able to insert stuff in here. So that was episode 26. Let's move that over there. Get that out of the way. And for next week, I'll probably do these when I can, but I think it's more important to do that AI enemy manager. And what this is, for example, on the cowboy level, it's not too bad. But on the alien level that I have, they fire out lasers, but when 2, 3, 4 enemies are firing out lasers at the same time, it's just basically impossible for the player to dodge it all, which isn't fair. And right now the reason that's doing that is because each alien on its own, just like the cowboys, each cowboy on its own, checks to see if it's able to shoot or not, if it has a clear line of shot, and then fires. But since all of those enemies are doing that independently, that means with an alien, if there are 4 aliens and they all just happen to randomly want to shoot at the same time, 4 lasers come out and start sweeping the screen. It goes crazy. So I do need something that kind of stands above the enemies and gives them instructions like, okay, you try firing. Okay, you don't have a clear line of shot, then you try firing. I just need something behind the scenes, which is an AI enemy manager, to do that for me. And I think that's a pretty big task, so I think that will take me the rest of next episode. But if I do have extra time, I can pick something from over here, but I think that's going to be pretty big. In fact, 1.5 is probably too conservative. Let's bump it up to 2. And so that's going to do it for that. Let me jump off my desktop, get back to my logo. And thank you for watching. I know a lot of you are probably, on break and doing Christmassy stuff and stuff like that, so probably didn't have a big crowd today. Thank you, PandaBits, for dropping by and saying hi in the chat. You can catch past episodes of this show, as well as this one once I put it up, over at www.youtube.com, Blue Tengu Studio. Definitely subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this and you want to see videos when they come out, because if you do subscribe, it does put that into your YouTube feed and lets you know when a new video comes out, and a new one comes out every week. If you're watching this later on YouTube, come drop by the live show we do every week on Twitch TV Blue Tengu. Same for you guys who are watching this now on Twitch. I do this every week. I'm living in Japan, so I do it my Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m., which translates to Fridays in the States, in North America, so 3 to 5 Pacific, 4 to 6 Mountain, 5 to 7 Central, 6 to 8 Eastern. Friday nights, and if you're in the UK, that translates to Friday night starting at 11 p.m. going to 1 a.m. If you're in Australia, you're pretty close to where I am in Japan, which means it starts anywhere from 8 to 10 depending on which part of Australia you're living in, and if you're in New Zealand, it starts at 11 a.m. and runs for 2 hours. We always do announce what we're doing through Twitter. Usually I say, starting the show in 15 minutes, and then I'll send another message out saying I'm starting the show. So follow Blue Tengu to keep track of when we're on or the live show starts. I also post, when episodes go up. So that's probably the best way to keep track of what we're doing. Or definitely follow on Twitch or YouTube. And of course, you can see what we're up to anytime over at www.bluetengu.com. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. It was a lot of debugging, but definitely got a boss enemy in there. And it's quite challenging because I had to turn on invincibility to try a few things out. But thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.